How's it going, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning into this video, and today's video comes to us from a fellow subscriber. As some of you know, I ask you at the end of every video if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or videos that you would like me to make. Just do so in the comments or get a hold of me directly and I'll do my best to make those videos. Fellow subscriber Dominic Oswald says, "Hey Jesse, you should do a video on how to get the most longevity out of your DS4 injection pump on a 6.5. That is a great suggestion. Thank you, Dominic, for giving me that suggestion in order to make this video. Considering I'm about to do the different fuels that you can use on your 6.5 and what you may need to do in order to run those fuels. Also, the video of swapping out your DS4 injection pump for a DB2 injection pump. This video really does make sense to do this one first, where I'm about to cover those topics. So not everybody wants to swap their truck over to a DB2 injection pump, and some people may just want to know, how can I prolong my DS4 injection pump, or what can I do to help it out and make sure it goes the extra mile? So let's get in right to the video. So the DS4 injection pump is mechanically driven by the timing gears in the front of the engine, but it is electronically controlled by the ECU. It uses the optical sensor, the fuel shutoff solenoid, the crankshaft position sensor, all of those electronic components and more in order to operate properly. The DS4 injection pumps came out in '94 and was applicable to the 6.5s all the way up to 2000, and then if you want to get into the 3500 HDs, or if you're talking about the Hummer H1s 2006. But the DS4 injection pump, it being electronically controlled, did have its fair share of issues. This is where a lot of people really started walking away from the 6.5 itself. As far as Chevy, Dodge, and Ford, 6.5 was the first one to come out with an electronically controlled injection pump. The 7.3 Power Stroke came out in '95, so 1 year before the Power Stroke, and then the 24 valve came out in '98, I believe. But nevertheless, we're talking about 6.5s. So the DS4, in a sense, is kind of it's kind of the bastard child, if you will. But there are things we can do in order to get a little bit more life out of our DS4 injection pumps in our lovely trucks that some of you obviously may want to know. So let's get into what we can do to prolong these babies. One of the things that we can do to help out our poor little DS4 injection pump is swap out that factory lift pump with an aftermarket one, something that's really going to keep it fed, keep the pressures up where they need to be. The factory lift pumps were known for going bad on these 6.5s, and they would leave you on the side of the road. They would just shit out on themselves, and ultimately you'd have to get your truck towed or replace it on the side of the road with a factory one. That is not fun. So as far as lift pumps go, just get an aftermarket one, do away with that factory one, and you'll be plenty satisfied. It doesn't have to be the one that I have. Personally, on my truck, I have a Fast 165. You do not need a Fast 165. I have said this in multiple videos. It's pretty excessive, me running the Fast 165. Did I want it? Yes. Did I need it? In a sense. I needed an aftermarket lift pump, but did I need the 165 itself? No. I could have went with a 100 and been just fine. As far as suggestions for an aftermarket lift pump, of course, Fast, I'd recommend the Raptor lift pumps. I've heard fairly decent things out of the Carter lift pumps. Yes and no. I've heard good and bad about the Carters, but to each their own. If you have any insight on those other lift pumps, please leave them down in the comments below and help the community. So along with the lift pumps themselves, diesel quality. Now this isn't necessarily something that a lot of people pay attention to, but where was the last time you filled up? Not when was the last time you filled up, but where. I have run into some pretty shady gas stations, and I personally work on diesel trucks. I work on garbage trucks specifically, and in the place of employment that I have, we have multiple different locations, and we have our own fuel aisles. Basically what a fuel aisle is, it is a place for the fleet to fuel up. The location that I work at, we have an above ground tank, so not a whole lot of algae problems out of that tank that I have been involved in. We really haven't had any issues out of it. At several of our other locations, however, we have run into algae, and we have run into problems with the trucks shutting down en route, like they have run out of fuel when the fuel filters were clogged up. Quality of fuel is very important. If you are running into fueling issues, take a look at where you're shopping around for diesel. Do a test. Go get at least, I would say a quart or a liter of diesel fuel from each gas station in your town and compare them. See if you can see any little dirt particulates or anything like that, algae. Take a look at the diesel quality of those individual places. Make sure you mark them properly, so if one is obviously bad, stay away from it. You don't want to clog up your fuel filter in the valley. It's just going to put more strain on your injection pump, and diesel isn't as lubricating as it used to be. The diesel today really just gets the bare minimum done as far as lubrication goes, in my opinion. It used to have much better lubricating qualities, and where the pump is mechanically driven, inside there's like a camshaft, if you will. Once that camshaft and those little plungers on the back end of the camshaft get wore out, they are no longer able to make the pressures in order to make the injectors pop, because they are mechanical injectors. They rely on pop pressure in order to actually fire diesel into the combustion chamber. Once that injection pump is done, it's done. There's no bringing it back around or anything like that. You'd either have to get a remanufactured one, a new one, or a rebuild kit. So take a look at what gas stations you're getting your diesel from, and make sure they don't have any particulates or anything like that in there. Also with diesel particulates, on the DS4 injection pump there is an optical sensor, and what that optical sensor does is read the timing of the injection pump. How it reads that is the optical sensor is placed inside the injection pump on the top, and I will leave a link to my optical bump video, kind of show you the insides of an injection pump on a 6.5 as far as the DS4 pumps go. That optical sensor reads a tone ring, if you will, inside the injection pump that rotates with the camshaft of the pump. I know that's a mouthful, I know it's a lot to process, but bear with me. If dirt and crap gets into the injection pump, it somehow always finds its way to the tone ring that the optical sensor reads on. If that optical sensor is not able to read that tone ring, whether the particulates broke the tone ring, it broke a couple teeth off of it, or if they're clogging up the tone ring, whatever have you, the truck is going to run absolutely stupid. And essentially, once that tone ring is busted, you're going to be looking at a rebuild at least. And if you can't find anybody to rebuild them, remanufactured or brand new is your options. One thing I would recommend to do when going with a aftermarket lift pump is get one with filters that are already attached to the housing. I don't care if you go with AirDog, I don't care if you go with Fast. Peace of mind is a must when it comes to just doing maintenance on it, anything like that. Taking care of your truck will surely go the extra mile. Do your proper oil changes. Change your damn fuel filter. If you have one in the valley, change it. I change mine every 6,000 miles. And I also change the fuel filters on my Fast every 6,000 miles as well, with the one in the valley. If you buy a lift pump that does not have the mounted filters, you can buy separate mounts to inline a filter. So yeah, make sure your truck is getting proper filtration, and make sure you're keeping all of those dirt particles and algae particles out of your truck. Do whatever you can to protect your DS4 injection pump. So with diesel fuel not being as or having the lubricating properties as it used to, a fuel additive to me is a must. I particularly use Hot Shot Secret personally. It doesn't matter what diesel additive you go with, as long as it has quality lubricating properties. You can go with the Stanodyne brand, you can go with the Hot Shot Secret. Shit, I've even seen some people use automatic transmission fluid. To each their own. Whatever works for you, it works for you. I'm not going to tell you what to do or what you should do with your truck. I'm just giving suggestions of what I would do, and where y'all have asked these questions, I'm just giving you my personal opinion. So do whatever you can to help the diesel out and protect your DS. By the way, I want to say that I am not sponsored by Hot Shot Secret in any way, nor am I sponsored by anybody else. So now let's get into human error. So I've had a bunch of people ask me, especially on my optical bump video, and what modifications I can also do to help get more power out of my 6.5 and stuff like that. And I absolutely love when y'all, you know, show me your progress on your builds. I absolutely love to see y'all working on your 6.5s, keeping these things running. Some of y'all are just not mechanically inclined, and that's okay. It is not the end of the world that you are just getting into it. It is not a bad thing that you're wanting genuinely to work on your trucks. I want to see more people work on their own trucks, because it is obnoxious to send it to a dealership and them not even know what they're doing with these things, and give you the truck back and it's still running wrong and stuff like that. I hate it. I really do. Sorry, I'm getting a little frustrated here, but nevertheless, I love to see people just working on their own stuff and keeping these things rolling. But if you have not done the research, if you're just getting into mechanics and stuff like that, I strongly suggest not doing the optical bump. I think there are better alternatives, such as tuning, that can greatly increase the performance of your 6.5. In my opinion, don't do the optical bump. I did the optical bump on my truck, and I literally saw like the minimalist change in how it acts and how it operates and power and stuff like that. There are better alternatives, and there are safer alternatives. If you are first time 6.5 owner and you are just getting into mechanics, do not do the optical bump. If you don't know what you're doing, you can really do some damage to these things, and human error is Honestly, what I've been seeing lately, I've been working on a bunch of customers' 6.5s as of recently, which is why there was no video last weekend, why I did it a couple days ago. I would hate to see somebody having a beautifully running truck and them do something to attempt to increase the horsepower and drivability and performance because somebody persuaded them into an optical bump or anything like that, and then it just falls flat on its face. They can't get it to run right. They're considering selling it, and they just want to get rid of it. They swear they'll never get into another 6.5. Guys, if you're not comfortable with doing that first time, and again, I applaud all those who work on their own vehicles and do the job and get it done to save money. I do that myself. I'm a mechanic. I'm a mechanic by trade. I don't send my vehicles out to get fixed by some other goober who's just gonna fuck it up and I'm gonna have to do it again. It saves me a bunch of frustration. But just, if you're going to do it, anything to your truck, take your time and do the research, especially if you've never done it before. Another thing to do with your DS4 injection pump is relocate that goddamn PMD. So many injection pumps have been replaced because people didn't know what they were doing, and they just immediately assumed the injection pump was bad when it was, lo and behold, the dreaded PMD. As far as all 6.5 owners go, you best be keeping a spare PMD in your glove box with a new resistor, because that PMD will leave you on the side of the road. But I strongly suggest y'all remove the PMD from the injection pump, or buy a new PMD and a relocation kit and put it somewhere where that PMD can keep cool. For all those who have messaged me saying the PMD is getting hot, it is going to get hot. There are capacitors on the back of the PMD and they will emit heat. The idea of a relocation kit is to help it cool down and stay cool. Having the PMD in the valley of the motor, the hottest place in the whole friggin' motor, is not a good idea for any electronic component. So relocate the PMD. Whether you relocate it to the bumper holes or you install it on the driver's side fender on the inside, it don't matter. Just somewhere where that PMD can keep cool. Yeah guys, I hope y'all enjoyed watching me get a little frustrated. But you know, that's my 2 cents on how to take care of your DS4 injection pump. They're really not that terrible. Do the PMD relocation kit. Keep that PMD cool. If you buy a new PMD, make sure you install a new resistor in the PMD. I'll leave that link in the video at the end of this video. And do the fuel mods in order to increase the longevity of your DS4 injection pump. If any of y'all have any questions, comments, concerns, or video ideas that you would like to see me make, please leave them in the comments below and I'll be sure to answer them as soon as I possibly can. Thank y'all legends so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.